A lot can happen in a week. Some of it good, some of it bad, some of it downright ugly. When faced with intriguing developments in the week's news, we turn to a rotating panel of non-experts to parse the good, the bad, and the ugly of it all. On today's panel, Jack Young, Artistic Director for the Houston Shakespeare Festival and Professor in the School of Theater and Dance at the University of Houston, Vivian Ho, Health Economist at Rice University and Baylor College of Medicine, and Marcus Davis, owner of the Breakfast Club restaurant. Jack, Vivian, Marcus, welcome to Houston Matters.
Hola.
Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
Panel, a new report from Harris County Public Health finds heat-related illnesses are on the rise in the county. As Houston Public Media's Patricia Ortiz reported Tuesday, there have been more than 7,600 cases in the county between 2019 and 2023. Jennifer Kiger, director of the Office of Epidemiology, Surveillance, and Emerging Diseases at Harris County Public Health, says the data is closely correlated to increased heat and humidity in the Houston area. She further notes there were more heat-related deaths a year ago, which was the hottest summer on record in Houston. The health department's Dr. Erica Brown suggests more green space and cooling centers could help keep numbers down in the future. Heat-related illnesses are up in Harris County, so is, the heat. Is this good, bad, or ugly? Marcus Davis, start us off.
Oh, I thought you were going to start with the expert.
No. This is a non-expert panel, so I like
know.
keeping the expertise for the very end.
Obviously, this is bad for a number of reasons, right? And it raises a lot of questions. On one hand, you have to ask, why is it getting hotter in Houston? Or is it getting hotter around the world? Is this thing that they call global warming really warming? I don't know. Secondly, are we doing enough as a city to ensure that folks are protect themselves? But it brings about a conundrum for me because I don't know if this has happened to any of you guys, but for the last X amount of years, every time I go to the doctor, they said, hey, your vitamin D is low. So I try to spend more time in the sun, but I don't want to end up with one of these heat-related illnesses. So that brings up a little bit of a conundrum. Now, as a businessman, I do have to say this. Our weather affects the economy of the city. And so it's something that we have to pay attention to and get under control because we don't want these types of stats. You don't want this happening to people, but you also don't want to be known as the city that has the highest illness rate related to heat. So I'm hopeful that we can get this together.
All right. Good, bad, or ugly? Jack Young.
Ugly, bad, ugly. The good news is we're here at KUHF where when we are doing fundraising, you guys do have the folks coming in planting trees for us. So that's at least a positive on that side. But I do sympathize with all my friends down there at the Breakfast Club in the kitchen because it's already hot. And Houston's already got its reputation as a place where people just melt on the tarmac. I guess we do have some advantage in the immigrant populations coming in from Mumbai and Hong Kong who look at our heat and humidity going, hey, this is not bad. The problem's going to be give us another 5 years and we'll be just back into the place where they left to come to the gentler climate that we have here as opposed to Mumbai or Hong Kong. So, you can fool Mother Nature. You can't fool Mother Nature. Physics is going to catch up. So the sooner we get in front of this, the better.
Okay, good, bad, or ugly, Vivian Ho.
Well, Craig, you've sort of put the pressure on now.
The expert.
So I thought the report was really interesting, and I couldn't, it was so interesting that I couldn't help but go and look at the original. And the facts, when they say only, I think sort of 14% of the heat-related illnesses are occupational related, and I was sure that it's all those poor construction workers who are out working all summer regardless of, how hot it is. But then they said more than 70% are male, and then almost half of these are also in the age group 18 to 44. So it just gets me thinking, are these, is a lot of it the football players, that we're getting them all out in the summer? How much is that? And then how much is all those guys playing soccer all the time, regardless of what the temperature is. And it matters, I look at the report and I see at the end a call to action and recommendations. And the problem is you really need to know this stuff because you can say, yes, we need more trees, but maybe we should put those trees next to the athletic fields where these guys are practicing.
Yeah.
know?
I'm going to bet our friends in high school football, organized football, they're smart about it. Or at least they know they should take care of it because they've got all sorts of systems and boards of education around them. It's the guys that get together collectively and just going to go 7-on-7, or let's get together and do soccer out in the park, and they just meet up and aren't thinking that, are thinking they're still age 15 with people looking at them, but aren't anymore.
I'm also going to say tree cover on the football field could be a problem.
Yeah.
It limits how many plays you can really call if there's a giant tree trunk right in front of you.
I meant on the
she
sidelines.
was- yeah.
And so I do remember seeing this mom's forum and this mom saying, "Hey, it's going to be over 100 degrees today, and my son and my husband are planning to go out anyway. Should I pull them back?" And then saying, multiple other moms responding, "No, I don't see anyone telling them they're not supposed to go, so they're going to go." So, we would like people to be responsible. They don't seem to be. The other thing, I was sorry about that report. There were 3 or 4 lines explaining where they got the data on the heat-related incidences from. And it's from some system that counts the number of hospital inpatient and outpatient and ER visits. But the problem is I don't know, did they include heat? So how do you differentiate heat-related stroke versus stroke? And so there's a question of how you're actually measuring these things.
And who's marking that down on the chart?
Exactly.
That's a big piece of it, because maybe the doctor doesn't specify.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then one other concern I have about their report, the folks 65 and over, it's a much smaller percent that they said heat-related illnesses. But then they had this other column of the number per 100,000, and it was much higher. And I'm trying to think that through. And the only way that could be the case is if they actually didn't have many 65-year-olds in their sample. And then I'm wondering, did they not have the Medicare population in there? And if that's the case, then we don't have this balance right. And then it's also, please don't make recommendations if you haven't included most of the city's elderly in there, because that's a totally different story.
Completely. So the thing that I'm thinking about now is the recommendation of planting trees, right? And I'm always big on leadership, city leadership, visionary. And it just makes me wonder. Years ago, I read a book called "The Man Who Planted Trees." Anybody familiar? Yeah. And it just talks about the act, the selfless act of doing something today for tomorrow. And so hopefully we'll be not just doing something today for today, but hopefully we'll understand that we should be in service to humanity tomorrow. And maybe if someone had thought about this 20 years ago, and would probably shout it down about green space, because you hear a lot of people talking about green space, shouting down green space. Unfortunately, now you see why we need these spaces, and we need trees. And I'm a tree hugger. I am. I love trees. I just had to get that off my chest.
It's a shame that our fundraiser ended yesterday because, boy, you made a really good case for why to make a contribution.
Oh, yeah, that's a very good case.
You can still give, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, anytime.
Anytime.
Panel, Charlotte's NBA team stepped into a public relations hornet's nest this week after pretending to give a child a Sony PlayStation 5 game system during a home game Monday night, only to take it away once the child was off court and off camera. The Hornets, who apologized a day later and did ultimately give the PS5 to the 13-year-old, explained that the whole thing was a skit for the crowd's benefit. As Alexei Phillips told Queen City News, he had taken his nephew to see the Hornets play the Sixers. A team staffer asked if they'd like to be on the court with the team's mascot, Hugo. They agreed. As video posted to social media showed, Hugo was dressed in a Santa costume. PA announcer read a supposed letter to Santa Hugo asking for the game system. Fans cheered as the young man was handed the PS5. Phillips says as soon as they left the court and walked backstage, a Hornets staffer took the game system away. Reporters suggest the uncle may have known it was all a skit. It appears his nephew did not and was not pleased. In a statement the next day, after the predictable online shaming, the Hornets owned up to their screw-up and said the child would receive the PS5 as well as a VIP experience at a future game. Also, It could be worse. The Hornets lost the game by 13 points, and they fell to 7-19 on the season.
Why punish the kid?
Karma.
The Charlotte Hornets are naughty, then nice. Is this good, bad, or ugly? Jack.
This is absurdly knuckleheaded bad. They are a snake bit operation anyway, and the value for the Hornets is $3.2 billion. That's how much that franchise is worth. PlayStation's $130 more than I got. I'm not investing in it, but come on, $3.2 billion versus $130
That's at least
bucks.
5 PlayStations? I mean, my math might be a little
Somewhere in
fuzzy.
there. And I'm betting it's probably some poor intern that was down there in the marketing and got in touch and was probably working like crazy just to get the Santa costume on the Hugo Hornet that would actually fit him and wasn't thinking about, and maybe for all we know, it was the poor intern's PlayStation that he just brought in last second, because who knows if they're organized enough to get that kind of stuff together. So there's this poor kid, and now they've turned themselves from the Hornets to the Grinches to Mr. What's his name in It's a Wonderful Life of taking all these things back. I guess whatever complaints are about there isn't a good contemporary Christmas movie, somebody's going to write this up, and it will become the new Christmas movie for the 21st century.
No, Mr. Potter, that's my
right.
PS5.
Every time the PS springs, that means somebody got his wings or something. The Hornet gets his wings. I
was just sitting here thinking, is the Hornet going to now replace the Grinch?
I suppose.
Forever and ever. This may be so good, bad, or ugly. I think this is good for the Grinch. He may finally get off of being the Grinch. The Hornet will be the new mascot for crappy Christmases.
Yeah. So,
All right. Good, bad, or ugly, Vivian.
Yeah. So my understanding was Michael Jordan used to be one of the major owners. So you can see what happens when Michael Jordan is no longer involved. And there's 2 gentlemen who are the major. I don't know who their names are, but I was looking in terms of their plans, sort of now that they had acquired the team and what they were going to do with it. And one of the things they listed was giving back to the community. And so I thought, you have to take the
Maybe they were going to give the game system to somebody who needed it more.
Oh.
There's no one that needs a PS5 more than a 13-year-old.
That's true.
he suffered through a bad basketball game in the first place. And now they're going to make him go back again?
Well, you can't give back to the community unless you don't take it away first.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do some consultation for these guys on PR, on customer service, on branding 101. Because look, why were you doing the skit in the first place? You were doing the skit for the enjoyment of your customers, right? Why take the PS5? Because now you can create a lifelong fan by allowing that kid to keep the PS5. Even, you're going to do this thing a couple of times, so you're going to have to buy a few of them. Yes, somebody didn't think this through.
I don't think so, no.
There's a difference between wanting to show up a certain way and wanting to be a certain way.
Well, Marcus, you probably could have even told them how to win the basketball game, too.
I probably could have. I coach 6th and 8th grade boys basketball, so I probably could have given them some pointers, considering they're playing like 6th and 8th grade, 7th and 8th grade boys basketball.
Yeah, I mean, they're not on an 8-foot rim, but maybe.
Wow.
These things that they do during timeouts at sporting events, sometimes they don't think them through. I remember 30 years ago, the St. Louis Blues used to go to hockey games in the arena in St. Louis, and they would hold what they called the Chevy Super Shot. And the setup was that they'd bring out a Chevy truck, and then somebody from the crowd would be picked out, and they would give them the puck and a stick at center ice, and they would point at the goal, and they put this board over the goal, and there was a slit that was just big enough at the center at the bottom for them to slip the puck through.
Yeah.
And they'd say, take one shot, and if you get the puck in the net through that one slot, you win the truck. Well, they did that for years, and nobody ever won the truck. And then one night, somebody won the truck. The crowd goes wild. It's amazing. The next game, They changed the rules. Now you had to get the puck in twice, first from the blue line, then from the center line.
Oh.
And it is entirely possible that the slot was now slightly smaller than the circumference of the puck.
The claw trying to get your thing out there at the restaurant. Like, you get that much kind of odds, pop a shot.
Did you ever win?
No.
I do know somebody who did win something from the claw.
I
was stunned. Stunned. It happened about 6 months ago. I'm still amazed.
I know someone that did too, but it wasn't the right way. They used their own claw.
Let me guess. Inside was a PS5. Jack Young is artistic director for the Houston Shakespeare Festival and a professor in the School of Theater and Dance at the University of Houston. Vivian Ho is a health economist with Rice University and Baylor College of Medicine. And Marcus Davis owns the Breakfast Club restaurant. Jack, Vivian, Marcus, thanks very much.
Hey,
Thanks,
happy
Greg.
holidays.